Everyone get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to the test server again, 9.0, and this time I'm looking specifically at historical battles. Now there's three, and it's Lake Balaton, the Battle of Kursk, and the Battle of the Ardennes, but not quite sure which one's which, because as you can see the interface is all still in Russian. Now two of the three are actually on the Erlenberg map, but you can see there I'll talk a little bit about the interface before we actually drive into a battle. Now, how it works is you get a certain tank in a certain historical setup, and you might notice there's actually quite a big tier variation. The temptation is to just jump into the tank with the biggest gun, but that means you're going to be waiting the longest time to actually get into a battle. It also means that you'll probably, let's take this one for instance, if you jump into a Tiger 2 and I waited about 4 minutes to get into a battle, you're probably only going to be with about 3 or 4 other tanks, whereas the other team will have probably twice that many tanks. So it's not like regular matchmaking. It isn't a parity between the teams. It's actually balanced based on the vehicle types that are actually in the battle. So if you're in a Tiger 2, yes, you're in a very powerful unit, but bear in mind you're not in the elite configuration of that unit. You're actually going to be facing off against large numbers of Hellcats and Jacksons and E2s and E8s, and you at that point you're very susceptible to being swarmed, so it actually drastically changes how you actually play a battle. And if you're on the other side, if you're playing one of the lower tiers in a battle like this, then it actually requires you almost have to go as a wolf pack. You can't go in on your own. It very much more is about going in together as groups, because if you're in a lower tier tank facing a higher tier tank, let's say I'm in a T-34-85 going in against a Tiger 2 or a Panther, if you go in on your own, you're probably going to be dead meat, because they will probably have the better gun, they have more hit points, and they're going to come out on top of any engagement unless they get really unlucky or you're able to particularly outplay them with terrain. So that kind of swarming tactics that's definitely going to be the order of the day sometimes. There's also some vehicles where you might think, Su-76 or the T-70, what can that do? Well, actually the Su-76, if you're looking at the two Russian setups, that has the best view range of basically any of those teams, or it's equal view range with, I think, the IS maybe. But what I've done, I actually went and bought an Su-76. I put binoculars on it, and that actually, you end up as the scout in the Su-76 in these situations. I've also played I've played the Tiger 2. I think I've played a couple with the T-34-85. I've not played every tank yet. I've played one with the Easy 2. Wow, the Sherman Jumbo, I keep doing that. And actually some of them I specifically bought to, some of them I already had, some of them I bought because I was looking at them in battle, but some I bought specifically to have a go. Su-76 and also the T-34. I'm going to rebought the IS as well. So some of these I haven't actually had a go yet at in historical battles, but others I have. The other thing to note is that, like I've said, you're not getting your elated vehicle. You're getting a particular loadout of ammunition. You're also getting a particular setup, and it does tell you somewhere. I can't remember where exactly. Where are we? If I look at medium tanks, now how it looks in battle. Oh, there we go. You mouse over the thing. Now, if you've got it, you have to have it up on your garage screen. What it looks like, that actually is how I basically just had the tank set up. It's not going to necessarily be what it looks like in the garage is not necessarily going to be the actual modules, but it tells you there the actual module loadout. So you see there the 76mm gun, the upgraded upgraded tracks, but it isn't the upgraded radio, I don't think. Actually, we'll just exit that and we'll be able to see. So if I actually deliberately put on a different gun, And I don't think the engine. I think the engine might have been the top engine, but it wasn't the. No, it wasn't the top radio. So it doesn't necessarily show you that. So let's go back to the historical battle screen. Oh, it actually has changed. Okay. Well, I take that all back. Clearly I'm wrong. It does actually change. It's gone back to the 76mm gun. So that actually does show you the historical loadout. That's really interesting. So if I go to the Panther, it's the... not the Schmeltem. Okay, okay, I take that all back. I thought that was the other way around, but apparently not. I actually... I read on FTR that that was the case, and clearly it's not the case. So the gun and the turrets are going to be the most obvious things, but there will be other things like track modules might not be the top track modules, or the engine modules might not be the top engine modules. But it's basically a locked loadout, and you can't change that. It's also a locked ammo loadout, and the way the ammo works is you buy a package of ammunition at the start. There's an upfront cost, and there is some premium ammo included with that, and you can either choose to pay with gold or you can pay with all credits. But what happens is, at the end of the battle, any ammunition you haven't used gets refunded to you. So it's, instead of taking out the ammunition pool that you might have a big stock of ammunition already in your depot, but it doesn't matter. You're buying a set package of ammunition, and then whatever you don't use, that comes back to you as credits. So there's an upfront cost. You're going to need some upfront credits. Doesn't matter so much on the test server, but obviously it will more in the live. When this all goes live. What it doesn't affect is your module loadout and your equipment loadout. So you can still change that. You can still put on things like automatic fire extinguishers or chocolate or anything like that. Your crew skills are unaffected. You might actually want to have a different loadout for historical battles than you do for random battles. It's not necessarily going to be the case all the time, but this is not the setup I'd use if I was playing the Su-76. Normally, not that I would be playing the Su-76 normally, because I don't have that many low-tier tank destroyers in my garage. Just ignore the T-18 and the and the Hetzer. They were definitely not there already. But I've also pimped this one out with extra combat rations to give me extra view range as well. So different tanks will have different roles in historical battles than they will on the in random battles. And of course, bear in mind that also because it's sort of two national teams as well. Some teams, the Russians, for instance, generally don't have terribly good view range, but the firepower available on some setups is pretty good. Whereas the Americans here have got generally much better speed than their counterparts. So it's going to be different, and I think it's going to be different in a really good way, because it's not just another game mode in the random battle rotation. It's actually a whole different separate thing, and I think they've actually done a pretty good job with this. I'd still like to see maybe some implementation of garage battles at some point, but this, along with the graphical update, is even though there's not really many new vehicles in 9.0, it is actually, along with I already said that, didn't I? Along with the graphical update, yeah, let's just repeat myself over and over again. It's actually going to introduce quite a lot to the game, and it's going to bring some quite nice new content to the game. So we'll have a go. We'll actually jump into a battle. I'll actually take the Su-76, which is either going to be interesting or it's going to be terrible, but it's going to have a short queue time, because if you choose something like a Tiger 2 or a 30, you're actually going to be waiting a really long time. And there's a lot of people playing the Tiger as well, for instance, so and the Su-152. But if you're playing something like the Su-76 or the T-34-85 or whatever, you're actually in with a much better chance of getting into a battle a lot more quickly. And you can see there so many more people playing the Germans than the Russians at the moment. So yeah, we'll. Oh no, there we go. See, that was really quick. Now that seems to be a standard setup for this particular. wrong button. This particular map is a Yag Tiger, a Tiger 2, and a Yag Panther, and it's a bit more varied on this side. But what this basically means is I'm effectively the scout. I've not really seen any other people playing the Su-76. I'm also, because it's the test server, I don't have any mods on this, so this is going to be interesting. This isn't. This is just a gold crew, so they're 100%, but they don't have Sixth Sense or anything like that. Which, if you're playing the lower tiers in a historical battle, Sixth Sense becomes a lot more important and suddenly. So it's yeah, it definitely changes. I mean, Sixth Sense is a really important one anyway, but it makes it even more important, I think. Excuse me while I take a drink there. So, the tactics are, you know, given the fact that they've only got 3 tanks and we've got, what, 7? I'm pretty much going to be a spotter, and I'm a one-shot kill for anything on the other side. But I've also got the best view range of, I think, anything on our side. Now, we do have a pair of ISUs, but they don't have the BL-10. You might be thinking, oh, ISU. But, oh, that's the other thing that's new, is there's no black surround anymore, and you get a kind of greenish tint, so I'm guessing it's supposed to be like you're looking through, you know, optics. You're looking through a periscope or whatever. Even though this is an open-topped vehicle, that doesn't especially make sense for an open-topped vehicle, but whatever. It's now we're kind of split up on this this particular map, but there's only 3 of them, so chances are they're actually grouped around there. They might have come to this side. I've seen 1 or 2 battles where people have split up more, but if you split up when you've only got a couple of tanks, then you make yourself easy picking. So like I said, it drastically changes the tactics. These guys on the other team have actually got to group up and support each other, whereas the guys on you know, my team, it's more about basically you don't want to go off on your own unless you're I'm kind of effectively a scout, not a terribly good scout, but I'll do what I can. It's definitely, you know, once we know where they are for sure, we definitely have to basically just rush and make the best go of it we can. Now, you might be thinking, well, if you're a low tier, you can just spam premium ammo. Actually, you can see that I've only got 3 APCR rounds and actually quite a lot of HE rounds. So yeah, actually have to be quite careful about your ammunition. And there's one of them, so we know where one is. And all 3 of them are there. Okay, that's not unexpected. You really do have to be... you don't get a lot of it, so you have to be quite cautious with how you use it. You can't just... You know, the Su-152, for instance, does get a heat round, but it's only a single heat round. So you have to be like very judicious about when and where you use that. So we kind of surrounded them at the moment. Our IS is there we go, the Jag Panther's down. The Yag Tiger and the Tiger 2, both tough opponents though. There's not a whole lot I can actually do in this one, but it is just the case of there is going to be, given this is essentially a random battle matchup, because there's no such thing as platooning in historical battles, what is going to be the case is that you're going to have to try and pay a lot more attention to what your teammates are doing in terms of going in as a rush. Now, for instance, these guys back here are probably going to be too late to the party. The danger is that the Tiger 2 and the Yag Tiger, you know, there's 4 of us over here, 5 really, because that T-3485 is there as well, but we've only got a limited amount of hit points, and it really is important to go in all together and just try and spread the damage around, you know, and hope that your higher tiers can get there in time to be more effective. Now, can I actually pen this guy, like, anywhere at all? Ooh. Don't want to get hit by him. My only chance of penning him is probably to run up, like, right behind him and shoot him right in the arse. Now, side of the Yag Tiger. Oh, yay, gun depression. Yeah, this is definitely a historical engagement. Oh, yeah, firing on the move, totally missed, but I can probably get up behind this guy. Or I could just fire over his head. Well done me. Now, there we go. Don't have much, and he can It's probably just going to try and push me in the water, actually. Uh-oh. This is bad! This is bad, you guys! Can I stay below his gun is my question. Probably not. No, he can just push me around. Okay, I might should do one damaging shot, but we have got this now. I distracted him long enough. The other tanks have turned up. There's definitely going to be more of an element of taking one for the team in this particular battle. And you can still cap. It's like... This is basically a normal battle mode. Capturing is still an option. But when it's 3 versus 7, it's probably going to be better to try and... Now, I don't know why this IS isn't just driving, you know, around for a side shot. But there we go. We've taken them down. So even though they had, in theory, better tanks, because we had the numbers advantage, that's how these go. Now, the only downside with this is that even though I really like it, it's more kind of team oriented, but you don't necessarily get rewarded for that XP wise. So even though I've distracted that guy and let them finish off the Tiger 2 and, you know, tried to do some damage as well, my XP for that was really terrible. I shot a higher tier target and I only got 278 XP for that. So that's the downside of historical battles and playing the lower tiers. And I actually, you know, you can see there, lost money for some reason. Extra combat rations. But I have had other battles. I had a battle earlier on. I'll see if I can actually find the score screen. And this is another interface change I didn't mention in the other video, but it's actually kind of... the notification center is all kind of unified now. Now here we go, Prokhorovka. And I actually, because it's a much better map for it, I was actually able to get 2.7k spotting damage with the binoculars, and I actually got the second best score. So it's possible. You're not maybe going to be getting massively good scores with these battles, but one of the nice features, especially if you've got a higher tier tank, is if you have, say, a stock Tiger, or a stock Tiger 2, or a stock Panther, whatever, it will temporarily, for the duration of the battle, it will give you the modules to actually meet the historical loadout conditions, and it doesn't actually cost you anything. So you can grind a stock tank with non-stock modules. I'm going to presume that once it goes live there will also be bonuses for playing these like there were with the 742, so it will be well worthwhile for some tanks anyway. You know, if you've got a stock whatever on any of these lists, if you want to play it with, you know, maybe not the, obviously not with the deleted modules, but with some of the upgraded modules, and be able to make some, grind some XP and make some money doing that, then this could be, you know, that's an additional carrot, a reason to play this particular battle mode. We'll try one more. We'll try a German this time, and we'll go for, I don't know, let's try this particular battle mode. Let's try Panzer IV, just randomly. I don't even know what equipment I've got set up on this. I don't know if I've bought things like optics or anything. I'll actually just check that. I'll probably quickly jump ahead. Yeah, I haven't bought anything, so I'll just set that up and then we'll come back to it when I'm actually in battle. Okay, here we are. It's Erlenberg again. This time it's Germans versus Americans, and they've got more tanks, a lot of Hellcats. We might do okay, but I have a feeling the Americans will win, because actually I have played with an E2 in this mode, and with the Hellcats, you know, they've got no armor, but you're actually able to swarm the enemy quite effectively. The camo, you can't really see it with the plain white winter camo, but the camo on the new Panzer IV model is another one actually that looks kind of derpy, to be honest. It's way too big for the current armor model. I've also got the, I think it's the L48 gun, I can't remember. 103 pen, 110 damage. More than enough for Hellcats, but they can definitely do more damage than I can. Quite a few HE shells though, and given the number of Hellcats around, I'm actually going to switch up to an HE shell to begin with. Now that Tiger 2 is going off on his own. That's actually not a good idea. We all really want to stick together, and this is going to be a thing. If you're in the team with fewer tanks, it's actually more often, I think, going to pay to move as a pack, basically. because if you encounter the enemy team, hopefully they're split up and you can basically deal with them as a single unit. But the problem with Hellcats is they're pretty damn fast, so it might be the case that they'll see us coming before we see them coming, maybe, and they'll also be able to do more damage, get around the battlefield more effectively. So balancing Hellcats is something they might need to look at. But hey, this is the test server. Now, we've definitely been seen. It's all about testing these things and seeing which tanks maybe need a bit of balancing, which tanks need a bit of tweaking and changing. So I just bounced a shot from up there. I don't know what exactly. There aren't... I mean, there's no artillery in this mode. There's no real... There's a couple of tanks that you can sort of use to scout, but there's no real scout tanks. So it's actually going to be maybe quite difficult. So he's just getting my commander's hatch, which is unfortunate. I really wish that Tiger 2 was over here, because he could just roll towards them. But our Tiger's doing okay-ish. And you'll see that the Tiger, which looks very pretty actually. We'll take a second to look at that. It's a lot darker than the old Tiger model was. And personally, like I said, I think it's the look that I like the least of the three new ones. But I think it looks okay. Oh, that was Gunmantler do something. There we go, that's one Hellcat down. I'll actually just put my commander back in, because view range is kind of important right now. So it's definitely, if you're in something like Tier 5 Medium in this situation, you're basically relying on your higher tiered tanks to make the pushes, and you're basically supporting them. So it's there's a lot more teamwork in it in that way. Now that Jackson, I don't know if there's more Hellcats around there, but we'll go and support the Panther if I can. Although he seems to be doing okay, but there we go. Oh, tracked him. Reload, reload, reload. Someone else gets the kill, okay. There's still an E2 around somewhere. We've actually won this one without losing anybody. I thought it was going to go the other way, because the other battle I played was... the Hellcats were very aggressive. I was in the E2 and able to bounce a bunch of shots. Even though, facing off against things like Tiger 2s, it was basically just a swarm of faster American tanks. So... team skill, individual player skill matters a lot, but I think you're going to see... I mean, we talk about... on regular maps, we talk about the meta of the different maps, how maps are generally played, where people go in different tanks. That is going to be radically different, because it's existing maps, but because the team composition is so very different, and because it's basically different numbers of tanks, it's going to really radically change how maps are actually played. So there's that last Hellcat. So I'm going to try and get a bit closer. I've still got some hit points left. Now bear in mind, Hellcat is actually he'll have the 76mm gun, so ordinarily it'd be like, oh, okay, he could just take, one shot me potentially, but actually it's going to be 2, maybe 3 shots before he actually picks me off. Now that Tiger should actually be, at this point, we should just be aggressive against this lone Hellcat. Not quite sure why the Tiger's just sitting there. But you've still got all the other Hellcat advantages as well, which is quite nice. So let's sneak up on this guy, although not so much with the sneaking, given that, historical Hellcat turret. It's quite nice to see. Could wait for this Panther to show up as well. We'll basically go in together. I really don't know why the Tiger is trying to cap. But it's definitely some degree of coordination required, and actually paying attention to what your teammates are doing a bit more. And the Panther actually got the kill. I missed that one shot I had at the guy, but I did a little bit of damage, so that was okay. Have a quick look at the results screen. I don't think you're going to make lots and lots of XP with these battles, but the fact that you can... I mean, they've not been especially slow, the ones that I've played so far. They've not been especially campy, and maybe because it's smaller numbers of tanks than 15 versus 15. But it's actually been... they've been fairly fast, so you're not maybe making that much XP, but in terms of the amount of time you're spending to make that level of XP, that's not counting premiums, and you can still make your daily in one of these, apparently. It's okay, but it's not necessarily... you wouldn't maybe... it's not like you can grind lots of different tanks anyway. I mean, like I said, you can get non-stock modules even if you've got a stock tank. but beyond a certain point, that's really only worthwhile if you've got a completely stock tank, and beyond a certain point, it's more just playing it for the mode itself. And I think I think they'll either have to maybe boost the XP a bit, or there will be some bonuses to playing this particular mode. But that's all just more kind of incentive in terms of getting the numbers in there to play it. In terms of it actually being fun, I think they've actually succeeded rather nicely. So I am all for this new battle mode. I think it looks rather good. And as you can see there, actually the frame rate did hold up. That's one of the things I was talking about in the previous video. The frame rate held up even with what were pretty much maximum graphics settings while I was recording with Bandicam as well. So on the whole, I would say that patch 9.0 looks like it's going to be a maybe not as important as the physics update, the one where the new physics was introduced, and maybe not quite as important as the 8.6 update with accuracy changes and the artillery nerfs. But I would maybe put it just behind that. I think this is going to be there is still new physics coming. That's on the way as well, but they're getting some of the HD client stuff in place first. But the 9.0 update itself, I would say, is maybe third on that list in terms of most important updates that we've had in the last kind of year and a half, 2 years kind of thing. So there is a lot that's actually in this particular update, but there's a lot more to come as well. There's a kind of a promise of what the rest of the 9.x patches will bring. So there we go. That was a look at historical battles. I might play a few more today, and maybe if I have a particularly good replay, I might just do one as a normal look at a replay. But I don't think I will still be looking at stuff on the test server. I probably won't put up any more test server videos from the first test server, but if they change stuff for a second test server, I might revisit it and take a look, see what they've changed. But on the whole, I am very impressed with the whole thing. I think it's been a really good job on Wargaming's part, and it's definitely taking the game in the right sort of direction. So if you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button, you can leave a comment below, you can subscribe to my channel, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.